This is Common Sense Radio. Straightforward and no excuses.
All right. Come on now.
This is the Steve Gruber Show.
Call me crazy.
Oh, yeah.
What I said was perfectly right and spot on accurate.
Boy's got a mouth like a cannon, always shooting it all.
Stop. Yeah, stop. I mean, you're way off script.
Got it in me. Gonna quit until it all comes out.
Hey, boy!
Been a long education.
Yeah, you know, it's not cynical. It's common sense.
Pay attention to me when I'm talking to you.
I'm gonna rock the nation. Rock the nation.
Genuine, accountable, and raw. Here is Steve Gruber.
Good morning. Welcome to the Steve Gruber Show. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. I'm Duran Martinez. And in for Steve, one more day this week. Had conversation with Mr. Gruber yesterday. He is fine, doing well. He and Ivy are just taking a little time off, which is well-deserved, I am sure. And we're going to move through this news day. Very busy news day. If you're just joining us this morning, a manhunt in Paris has taken a new twist. Police in France say a woman wearing an explosive suicide vest blew herself up as heavily armed police tried to storm a suburban Paris apartment where the suspected mastermind of last week's gun and bomb rampage was believed to be held up. Police say one man who was killed and 5 people arrested in the standoff, which began before dawn and continued more than 5 hours later, still going on over in the Saint-Denis area of Paris. One person remained inside the apartment, but isn't clear who it is at this time. Senior police official, and he believed Abdelhamid Abaoud, a Belgian Islamic State militant, was inside the apartment in the Paris suburb of Saint-Denis, and with 5 other heavily armed people when the raid started. The official says scores of police stormed the building and were met with unexpectedly violent resistance. 4 police officers were injured. Not quite sure how that was unexpected to meet with violence. They stormed a concert venue, blew themselves up in a bar restaurant outside of a soccer stadium. Not sure how they wouldn't expect violence. And again, one of the terrorists blew herself up. Going to go to Brian, Southern Michigan, on the line right now. Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Durant. Someone has to play the adult in the room, and I think that's up to Paul Ryan, since Obama doesn't have our best interest at hand regarding the Syrian refugees. And it's just scary where our nation's head. It's kind of like a lady gets divorced, and then she gets married to the same type of guy again, a very abusive man. And that's what I feel like that's going to happen to the United States. It's like we've been divorced from a bad person, and then we're looking to get into another bad marriage with Syria. And it makes no logical sense whatsoever why we got to bring them here. It's just, and that's why I just can't figure out Obama, whether he's just plain evil, he's insane, or what. The guy makes no logical sense.
Well, let me ask you this question. Why is it, do you think, he shows no anger, no ire towards the thought of the Syrian refugees coming to America, but when questioned about his motives, when fought back upon by the GOP, he gets angry? That's when he shows his true colors, and I'm not understanding the confusion here.
Well, look at who he hung around with. Bill Ayers, a terrorist, a known guy that, tried to blow up a building. It's just, the guy's radical. If you look at his agenda, like I said yesterday, he shows all this emotion towards that one kid in Ferguson that's a thug, but yeah, there's no emotion. It's like he's just like giving a regular speech about something when it comes to Syria, and it takes Putin to act like put the big boy shoes on to go do our job.
All right, Brian, appreciate your call. Southern Michigan, go to Philip in Flint on the line. Good morning, Philip. How are you this morning?
I'm doing all right. I just had a thought. You know, I was listening to the news, and they're talking about how they're bombing the trucks filled with oil going from Iraq to Turkey that are controlled by ISIS. Is there some reason why the UN or friendly forces can't capture those things and simply confiscate the trucks and process the oil and use the money to help repair some of the damage done by ISIS?
I think, Philip, I appreciate your call. And this is my thought. Hang on here. My thought with this is if it's captured, it's going to take a pretty good amount of effort to get it back safely without somebody else on the other side blowing it up, trying to keep it out of our hands or the hands of the collective in general. So I think it's a greater impact to watch somebody's money get thrown into the fire pit rather than to just take it away when they can try and take it back. My thoughts. Anyway, appreciate the call. Philip and Flint, if you'd like to join the conversation this morning, 888-900-9966. Again, the update, 2 dead, 5 arrested in the Saint-Denis suburb of Paris. One of the suspects killed by sniper. Another one blew herself up in a suicide bombing. Actually, I have no real remorse for that whole thing on a personal level, but I'll stick to the news. Okay, I'll try not to do an op-ed piece here. Syrian activist group says airstrikes on the northern Syrian city of Raqqa and its outskirts over the past 3 days have killed at least 33 fighters with the ISIS group. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says the fighters were most likely killed when their checkpoints were attacked by French and other warplanes. France has launched waves of airstrikes against the IS group following attacks that killed at least 129 people in Paris on Friday. The Islamic State group has claimed responsibility for the Paris attacks. The observatory says more IS fighters are believed to have been killed in the strikes, but their bodies were so severely dismembered, it wasn't possible to give an estimated figure. 888-900-9966 if you would like to join the conversation this morning. Already a couple of decent calls this morning. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Duran Martinez in for Steve Gruber. Make sure you hit up the Facebook page. Look for the Steve Gruber Show. Steve posted some new things on his page last night and some updates throughout the day when Steve gets to those. But if you'd like to follow us, we'd love to have you on there. This is the Steve Gruber Show. Again, busy day for news. More coming your way here in a little bit. The manhunt in Paris continues. We'll keep you updated on all that's going on and sit back and wait before our president decides to do something. It's the Steve Gruber Show. Duran Martinez here on the Michigan Talk Network.
Genuine Michigan common sense on display every day.
Just behind the bridge, he lays her down.
Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. Would love to have you call the hotline today. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. The Steve Gruber Show brought to you by Mesa. Good health, good business, and great schools. I'm Duran Martinez filling in for Steve today. Man, it's been 4 o'clock this morning. I get up, I turn on the TV. I turn on the news, and the raid on terrorists in Saint-Denis, France, going on. 7 now arrested, 2 dead in a showdown there. One of them blowing themselves up. Again, not sad about that, but I would rather that they be taken alive and interrogated heavily to find out more. Find out about what's going on, and will they talk anyway? It's questions that the French are handling as we sit idly by and fight amongst ourselves about what's going on while other places are doing things. But Muslims around the U.S. are facing backlash following the deadly attacks in Paris. Ibrahim Hooper, interesting, of the Washington, D.C.-based Council on American Islamic Relations says the rise in the level of anti-Muslim sentiment is reflected to him by some GOP presidential candidates, governors, and others speaking out in opposition to the U.S. accepting more Syrian refugees. Again, his words, not mine. Muslim leaders are reporting vandalism, threats, and other hate crimes targeting mosques in numerous states, including Nebraska, Florida, Texas, and Kentucky. On a personal note, I think that's wrong, because there's a lot of good people of the Muslim faith that love this country, that want to protect this country, that have nothing and want nothing to do with the types of people that caused the attacks in Paris. Okay, you can't paint with that broad brush. So, and the stopping of Syrian refugees coming into America. Okay, I'm not painting with a broad brush when I stand against that whole thing. There's no way of vetting these people 100%. They can't even get it, the full information from their own country. How are we supposed to get that intel? That is the concern I'm having. A hold is a great start. 32 governors following our own governor who put a hold on accepting Syrian refugees, but the federal government might have more to do with that than what we think, than what our governors are saying. Colorado welcoming them with open arms, while every state surrounding Colorado is not. In a striking shift, President Barack Obama and Russian President Vladimir Putin are now embarking on a tentative path toward closer ties and possible military cooperation as the bitter rift over the Ukraine gives way to common cause against the Islamic State group. After months of accusing Moscow of propping up Syrian President Bashar Assad, Obama is changing his tune. He's praising Putin as a constructive partner in the diplomatic effort to resolve Syria's civil war. Putin, too, is issuing conciliatory signals. He's calling for the U.S. and Russia to stand together against the extreme threat. The prospect of U.S.-Russian military cooperation has seemed remote ever since the U.S. cut off. So that's where that stands with Russia and the United States at this time. A Texas man set to die for a fire that killed 3 children. Texas prison officials say the mother of 3 young girls killed in a deliberately set fire plans to be present today when the man convicted of killing them 15 years ago is to be put to death. A lawyer says all of Rafael Hade's legal options have been exhausted. He insists he loved the children and is innocent. The girls were his 18-month-old daughter and his stepdaughters, ages 5 and 7. Ferguson was the site of protests, sometimes violent, following the fatal shooting of 18-year-old Michael Brown by a city police officer who was later cleared of wrongdoing. City manager John Shaw resigned in March following a scathing report by the U.S. Department of Justice over racial profiling among police and profit-driven municipal court system. The city council has chosen DeCarlin Seawood from a pool of more than 40 applicants. Former Texas Governor Rick Perry is asking the state's highest criminal court to toss out felony charges of abusing his power while still governor. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals will hear arguments today about whether Perry should stand trial in a case Perry calls a politically motivated attack that dampened his short-lived run for the White House. Perry's accused of making good on a threat to veto local funds after the Travis County District Attorney refused to resign following a drunken driving conviction. Federal officials say a Dallas company that had been ordered to recall dietary supplement pill because of links to liver damage has been indicted along with several of its executives on charges that they intentionally misbranded their products and deceived customers. The indictment accuses USP Labs LLC of importing chemicals from China and then lying about the nature and the source of those ingredients through misleading marketing labels. 24 minutes after the top of the hour this morning. Lots of things going on. Again, Saint-Denis, France. 2 killed, 7 arrested this morning in attacks, early morning attacks by law enforcement officials and military on an apartment that they believed was hiding terror suspects. One of them blew herself up. The other taken out by snipers. More information on that coming your way. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'm Duran Martinez, 888-900-9966. The hotline to get here on the Steve Gruber Show.
Keeping you in touch with Michigan and the world. Filling in for Steve Gruber, here's Duran Martinez.
Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. I'm Duran Martinez. The terror raid in Saint-Denis, France, now over. They're saying 2 terrorists have been killed. One, of course, blew themselves up. A female wearing a bomb vest blew herself up. Another taken out by snipers. And we'll keep you updated on that as we move through this morning. Good to have you along. 888-900-9966. 888-900-9966. And we're going to go to the phone right now. Going to join our guest, author and journalist for the Washington Times, Todd Wood, joining us. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Duran. Thanks for having me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Watching a lot of things unfold over in Saint-Denis, France, a suburb of Paris this morning. Strikes have been going on by both Russia and by France. And now there a new sort of, I don't know, coalition friendship with France and Putin and Russia coming together. How is that going to affect all of us here?
Well, that's a very interesting story that's happening. You know, you have to look at what's going on from a 30,000-foot level and not just, what has happened in Paris and the reaction. Putin is killing several birds here with one stone. I mean, he has long wanted to drive a wedge between the different NATO powers in Western Europe. He still sees NATO as a threat and its ultimate destruction or weakening and making it less of a threat to or a worry for Russia is really his ultimate goal. So for him to be able to pull France away and treat them as an ally and really thumb the nose at the United States. And by the way, the reason I don't think that France has asked NATO via an Article 5 demand to support them is I don't think France believes the United States will come to their aid. So that's why he's gone to Putin. You know, he's going to come to the United States to speak with Obama later. But it's a real chess master's game here, and Putin is winning.
We've been watching that. We've been seeing that. It's been he's been called the new number one, our guy the new number two, and that to be, numerically, not any other alter meeting, because I don't want people to think that's where we're going with this. You being a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy, flying special operations helicopters with in support of SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, and others, having worked under different commander-in-chief, how do you see our current commander-in-chief acting as a military leader, as we sit idly by? I mean, I think personally, at least some show of support and strength is necessary in this case.
Oh, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. I've written and talked and said a long time that you cannot listen to what Barack Obama says. You have to look at the reaction to, or the ultimate result of his policies, the consequence of his policies. And the consequence has been really a weakening of American power, And the follow-on of that is pulling troops out of Iraq and allowing the Islamic State to be created. I mean, he has allowed an Islamic Caliphate to be created in the Middle East, from Syria, into Iraq. It's highly dangerous, and I want to take that statement back a little bit in that you can't listen to what he says, because if you listen to what Kerry and Obama have said in recent days, they have said that basically Kerry said that France deserved what happened when the Charlie Hebdo attacks. I don't know if you heard that yesterday. Obama said he's not interested in America winning. So what is he interested in? I think his goal and aim and the result and consequence and legacy of his presidency will be a weakening of America.
Todd Wood is our guest here on the Steve Gruber Show. You can find him at ltoddwood.com. It's hard to see a person as commander-in-chief, as the president of this country, that fancies himself a global individual, sitting back and getting more angry at his political opposition than he is at what's going on in France and the rest of the world, basically.
Well, yeah, you hit that nail on the head. I mean, if you watched his speech the other day, it was truly incredible. Here you have a president in the throes of a really the Third World War, if you think about it. This country, state, movement, religion, whatever you want to call it, has now in the last few days knocked a 300-person airplane out of the sky. It's blown up bombs all over the world. It's killed multiple people in multiple attacks at one time in a major European capital. If people don't think it's coming here, they're ridiculous. They have said recently, we're in your streets. And the worship of Barack Obama and the people who voted for him are going to get, what they deserve, if you will, because it's coming. And, I hope that it won't, but I truly am scared that something really bad is going to happen.
A lot of politicians, including Donald Trump, have been warning about the exodus of migrants from Syria. Right now, a lot of our governors here, 32, I think, is the number, saying we need to put these Syrian refugees on hold because right now there's no way to vet them, even getting information from their own country, and it's becoming unreliable. We're already seeing that the information is easily falsified. But we never want to look like the bad guy, turning people away that what has built this country. But right now, at this time, there's no way to check and get a clear answer as to who these people are.
Well, you're exactly right. One reporter, I forget the outfit he was working for, went to the border with Syria and Turkey, purchased a passport, full documentation and everything for a few $1,000s. So you can do whatever you want. And a lot of these people coming from, that area are not Syrian. They are just getting on the train and going with the rest of them in order to get into the country. And the people need to think about this. It only takes one attack to really hurt us in the long run. I mean, think about a dirty bomb attack in New York City, in New York not livable for 50 years. I mean, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. So I completely agree with these governors. I mean, we cannot, allow even one person to come into this country that's going to be a terrorist. It can't happen.
Todd Wood is our guest here. He is a graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy, flew special operations helicopter supporting SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, and others. Real quickly, what type of helicopter did you fly?
I flew MH-53 Pavlos for the Air Force, which was a long-range insertion and extraction platform for, different SF units across the board from white to black. We were deployed all over the world, but, you can know you're getting old when they put the aircraft you flew on a stick in a museum, so I'm to that point.
You're dating yourself for my buddies in the National Guard here in Michigan that fly. They're chuckling right now. So, Todd Wood is our guest. We're going to speak more with you, Todd, here in a couple of minutes. If you don't mind hanging out with us.
Sure, no worries.
All right, man. We want to find out more about the attacks, the captures, and the storming and the barricaded terrorists in France. New news coming through that throughout the day. It's the Steve Gruber Show. I'm Duran Martinez. ltoddwood.com is his website. We'll speak more with him next here on the Steve Gruber Show.
Delivering Michigan common sense with a big dose of truth and honesty. Filling in for Steve Gruber, here's Duran Martinez.
Welcome back to the Steve Gruber Show. Duran Martinez in for Steve today. 888-900-9966. If you'd like to join the conversation, 15 minutes away from the top of the hour today. Speaking with Todd Wood, our guest here on the Steve Gruber Show this morning. And I want to ask you, Todd, about the geopolitical positioning of Vladimir Putin, trying to look like the global good guy after years and years of Russian Cold War. There's a lot. There's a small part of me that wants to like what he's doing, striking, but man, I know there's an ulterior motive in here, and look, come on. It doesn't take someone wearing Hubble telescope glasses to see this.
No, it doesn't. And I've mentioned his goal about, putting a wedge through NATO and weakening that organization. But also what he is really suffering from is the sanctions in Russia. I mean, I was just there for several weeks. It is, it's really starting to hurt. There's rumors of banks failing. The economy has shrunk over, about 5% last quarter. It's going to continue to shrink. Anyone who wants freedom has left, and they're really shrinking back into some kind of failed totalitarian state scenario. The Russian people will always survive. They are not, they don't give up easily, but they are in for a world of hurt unless something changes. He knows that. And so what he's trying to do is really, give himself a bargaining chip to get the sanctions relieved. And you've already heard, people in Germany or politicians in Germany and France saying, look, we need to get Russia on our side and stop these sanctions. So that's what he's really after here.
Todd, one of the things that, you see it on Facebook, you see comments, you hear comments, everywhere in the world, it talking about the French and fighting historically that has not gone hand in hand, although farther back historically, completely different. This was a personal attack on them in their country, and for them to really come in and strike hard and strike fast without a lot of thought behind it seems almost kind of strange, but this is their home turf. They were hit, and they're hitting back now.
Well, yeah, and plus Hollande is really in a fight for his life politically. So, he has really no choice. If he, did what Barack Obama's doing, he would lose the next election. So there's an ulterior motive for him as well. I'm sure he's very angry, and his feelings and his statements come from the heart. But, he is, his head is on the block as well. So he has to do this. And I understand that at least we've started giving them target information, which is helpful, but let me say the U.S. Air Force is extremely powerful. I know that, even though it's shrunk a lot from when I was there. But if we wanted to shut down ISIS, we could do it in a week. I mean, and why it's taken a year and a half for us to start bombing trucks carrying fuel where they've gotten $1 million a day is way beyond my comprehension or my pay grade.
They're getting $1 million. ISIS getting $1 million a day at black market for selling oil. Somebody had questioned earlier, why are we not capturing these oil trucks and the like? My response was, it hurts somebody more to throw their money in the fire than it does to just take it away from them.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reason we haven't been actively prosecuting this campaign is because the targeting information and the daily sorties are being controlled by Susan Rice in the White House, and the restrictions are ridiculous. It's the same thing in Vietnam. Democratic leaders don't learn. If you let the military commanders do what they're trained to do, this would be stopped and be much more effective. But they're not. They think they know better, and it's just humorous, actually. One's so sad.
That's just it. You bring up a great point about Vietnam, the trickle-in effect instead of the shock and awe effect that we've seen, that works quite well.
Well, yeah. I mean, air power cannot control everything. to win a conflict, you really need people on the ground to secure the territory if that's what you're trying to do. But it can do a lot. And right now, the hands are tied. I mean, it's just obscene what's going on, to be frank.
Speaking with Todd Wood, ltoddwood.com is his website if you'd like to find out more. Todd is a journalist, author for the Washington Times, a former Air Force, and thank you for your service. I'm sorry I did not say that first when we started
long time ago.
Well, it happened, and it continues to happen. I don't think there's ever really a former service person, because I've met a lot of them, and it's never going away. But and to be able to sit back and look and analyze what's going on with educated eyes, ears, and mind, and bring that to us, that's very helpful, and we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
So going forward, one person is all it takes to cause great damage. Do you think these governors are right in backing, or are we being just anti-American, standing against everything this country was built on?
No, I think they're exactly correct. I mean, we don't have a country if something, happens. Think about the economic consequences. Let's say that 5 terrorists in each state walk into a daycare center and kill 30 children in 50 states at once. I mean, what would that do to our economy? Or they did it in a shopping mall or a theater or a sports event or on the street, or a dirty bomb, or you could just go down the
Sure.
list. We are really in danger. I mean, there's been weapons found at power plants from possible terrorists looking at how to destroy them. There's cyber attacks. I mean, there's so much that can happen. And yes, our DHS and our professionals do a fantastic job, but they're not perfect. And it's something will happen, and we've been too lax for too long.
Todd Wood, appreciate you joining us here on the Steve Gruber Show. Again, ltoddwood.com is his website. And of course, we're already seeing a couple of planes diverted due to suspicious activity. Everybody's eyes and ears are open. Hopefully, we're not overreacting, but still being diligent. Thank you so much for your time today.
All right, take care.
Absolutely. Thank you. Steve Gruber Show. Duran Martinez here, sitting in for Steve. 888-900-9966. 8 minutes away from the top of the hour on the Michigan Talk Network.